storied legacy of the NWA title, which was inherited by WCW, carried a host of remarkable matches and finishes. Title changes for that cornerstone belt brought amazed and elated fans to their feet for decades as they witnessed history in the making. Then Hogan and Nash got in the ring, and we retreated to the Fingerpoke of Doom.
That was terrible. That was bad.
Boy, that had to have been near the top of my list. And again, you have to understand my history and where I come from. And I mean, I remember it being a huge house, and no matter how you slice it and dice it, the fans that were there, let alone the fans that watched when you replayed it, had to really feel that they got cheated. There's heat, and then there's heat. And that wasn't even heat, it was disgust.
Whew. That was awful. That was absolutely awful. That was, you know, you wait for a great, you get a great build-up, and you get a fart.
I like it. I like that. Because that, you know, I mean, I don't follow it because it's really sometimes pretty brutal, but when you look on all the websites and, you know, you hear the gossip, and we all love it, there's more than just the match, you know? And, you know, when somebody does something like that, it's a power play. It's what you don't know behind the scenes, you know? And that goes a long way because it's just like winning a belt. You know what I mean? Aside from your athletic ability, it really tells you, you know, what kind of respect you have, where you are in the company, how people view you. So, you know, it's all encompassing. So something like that would really stir it up. It's a good power play. I love that.
That's horrible. You're totally cheating the fans. They're not out there. They're not paying to see that. They're really not. That's bad. Not a big fan of the way that company did anything around that time. None of it made sense. Think about it. Did any of it make sense?
That's, to me, that's ridiculous. You chest poke a guy that's 6'8", 300 pounds, and he just falls like that. It's ridiculous. They were trying to prove a point in other ways. Strong point, trying to prove a point that they're the bosses in the business and they can control everything and make it happen.
Well, if they're doing an angle out of it, it could, you know, and I don't know what the whole situation behind it is, but if that was part of the angle to do that, to build it up for something bigger, then it was the greatest thing in the world. But if they were doing it for a joke and to kill the territory, then that's terrible. That's not what it's all about.
Was there a list of 100 possibles and this was narrowed? Because the first two right now are the shits.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, if I were to sit there and watch that and see Kevin Nash, which is legit 7 foot tall, 300-something pounds, and pretty jacked, and Hogan poke somebody and they fall down, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, beep. Oh, yeah, bullshit.
There's a list of millions of bad ones, but yeah, the poke in the chest and go down was bad. Or Hogan losing to Billy Kidman was bad. I mean, here's Billy Kidman, he's 165 pounds. Hogan's, yeah, brother, 300 biggest arms in the world, brother. Okay, that was pretty bad.
You know what? I've never really been a big fan of Hulk Hogan's work or Kevin Nash's at that. And actually, when I watch Kevin Nash now, or in recent times, actually the only thing I'm looking for when I look at Kevin Nash come to the ring and work in the ring is I just want to look at him and evaluate his ego. And that's all, because I know Kevin Nash. You know, I know his capabilities, and I know where his head's at. I've traveled down the road many, many miles with him, and all I'm doing is looking at Kevin Nash and saying, whoa. Has his ego subsided or has it inflated? That's all I'm looking for is him. And Hogan, you know, yesterday's news, you know, I don't care. I don't care about Hogan.
This is not personal, but Hulk and Kevin both of whom I've worked with extensively, both of whom I would regard as friends, tendency a lot of times is to not look beyond themselves. And because of the positions that I've held and the length of time in the business, my first train of thought when I look at any situation is the big picture and the impact on the business as a whole, not on what it's going to do to that one individual. And most times, if you look at things that way, don't look at it from an individual standpoint and what they're either going to gain or appear to gain, it kind of helps you put things in proper perspective and do the right thing.
Well, the talent should say something. I mean, you're going to ultimately have to do what the boss says because you're paid by contract to do it. But there's plenty of times that they brought stupid things to me, and I said, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. I remember at the AWA one time, they wanted Hawk and I to fight each other. I said, we're not fighting. Be insulted every other part of integrity of a tag team. I'm not fighting Hawk, and he's not fighting me.
I've been back there. Once somebody comes up with an idea that most people like, everybody else is like, yeah, cool, let's just go with it, man. It was, back then, that's what it was like. Somebody came up, thought, hey, that'd be funny, that'd be a great idea. Hey, screw it, let's just try it.
Hogan had creative control. He could have very easily said, I'm not going to do that. So he obviously was cared about doing it and wanted to do it. Or they both could have said, you know, this is not how we need to do this.
Can they say something? Yeah. Can they speak their opinion? Sure they can. Sure, you can say, hey, that's hokey. That's rotten. That's going to stink the joint up. You know, why don't we, let's just do one of those things where we get dog shit and put in a bag, go ring somebody's doorbell, let them step on it, and light it on fire. Whoa.
They both would be in a position, but somebody, whoever suggested it, they figured, hey, well, hey, bro, let's run with it. Okay. Because if Hogan didn't want to do it, and if Nash didn't want to do it, they wouldn't have done it.
At that point, could you do anything more to desecrate or belittle the meaning of a world title anyway? To change a title like that, it wasn't like everybody was up in arms about that, but it was just like, you know, you have a company that's had David Arquette and Vince Russo as your world heavyweight champion. At least you're changing it from one viable competitor to another. You know what I mean? To me, like, yeah, it was stupid and it was lame. But again, it was the same thing that made sense in a day when they wrote it. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot worse things they've done with that world title before and since that didn't make that much of a big deal. But it was stupid, yeah. But at the same time, like I said, they did enough job, a good enough job burying that title as it was, or pretty much every title for that point. I mean, Big Vito held a bunch of titles in WCW.
Really? Come on. I mean, we need a little bit more than that, especially if you're going to build something up like that. We need a full match. It's like, you know, they at least built it up, I guess, at the time. They don't do that as much now. You know, now it's like, I don't like you, let's fight. It used to be something, 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 and then they would go, but Fingerpoke of Doom, oh, thank you.
I think it was part of the steamroll effect that all these type of things were kind of steamrolling out of control, including the storylines. And yeah, there are some people I know for a fact going like, hey, that was cool. So each to his own, or her own.
Back in WWF days, he was just the editor of the magazine when I was there. We had some knockdown, drag-out fights. The image I always wanted to portray was the girl next door, the all-American girl you wanted to bring home to mom. You know, whereas like Rena and Terry had other images, like, you know, Rena was the one you wanted to bring to like a cheap hotel room for the night. I was the one you wanted to bring home and marry. Every time he would put together a photo, like a photo spread in the magazine, he'd always pick the worst pictures of me with like my mouth open, like these really slutty looking shots. Like I wasn't even posing like that. It just happened, they happened to catch that shot. And I'm like, no, you can't put this stuff in. Like this one picture he wanted to use on the cover, I was in a pink bikini, I was on my hands and knees, and I was like this into the camera. I'm like, that just says, come and stick something in my mouth. That was totally out. We had the biggest fight. I actually went into Vince's office. I just stormed right in. I'm like, Vince, no, I'm not going to have him portray me like this. And Vince is the one who told me you're not going to use that picture if she doesn't want that picture done. I had Vince in my pocket back then. I was like his golden child, so I got anything I wanted. And Russo hated the fact that I had Vince change his cover shot. But I changed a lot of photos in there. I actually went into, oh God, they'd probably kill me now if they knew this. I used to go into the editing room. I had a pass key for the office. I had all access this everywhere because I was doing studio work too. I used to go into creative and find the negatives that I thought were sleazy pictures and take them so they couldn't use them. So I used to steal my own pictures so they wouldn't be printed.
You get paid to do a job, and if you're the guy above you says, hey, this is what we're going to do, you don't have to like it, but I bet you're going to do it. If you want to keep a job here, if you want to come back tomorrow, I bet you'll do it. We'd all do it. I mean, we've all done things that we don't want to do and think is rotten, and we know better. We know what's better or what could make it better, but that's not my shot. That's not for me to decide. That's for people up there to decide.
I remember one time I was complaining about him to Kevin Kelly, and I called him a sea-sucking stooge, and go to Kevin Kelly when he went and told him, so that caused a big old fight, and we didn't really like each other in those days. WCW were a little more civil, but I wasn't a fan of his either, but now we're cordial. We leave it at that.
I thought it was absolute bullshit. It's nonsense. I mean, consequently, it killed the company. I mean, there's several things that killed that company, but that is one of them.
He covered him and won a belt?
Yeah. Awful line?
When was this now? Whose company?
WCW.
Oh, okay. Enough said.